Welcome to Pain in the Grass, the official Lawn Pride podcast, where we dig deep into the real problems hiding in your yard. From weeds to grubs to mystery brown spots, we've got the dirt. Let's grow better together.
Welcome to today's deep dive. We've got a really fascinating piece of source material today. It's a guide titled The Uninvited Employee, a guide to conquering Poa annua.
Right, also known as annual bluegrass, which if you're in North Carolina, you probably know all too well.
Oh, absolutely. And our mission today is basically to uncover the really sneaky tactics of this super frustrating weed and equip you with the exact strategy you need to permanently give it the boot.
And honestly, even if you aren't like a lawn care fanatic, or maybe you just live in an apartment, you should still stick around.
Yeah, definitely.
Because really, this topic is just this incredible masterclass in how opportunists exploit weaknesses in a system. I mean, it's just exactly why timing is everything when you're trying to solve a persistent problem.
It really is. And I love the framing the source uses right off the bat. They call Poa annua the ultimate bad employee.
Yes, that analogy is so perfect.
Right. It's like that overachiever who, shows up early, completely blends in with the team, and then just quietly wreaks total havoc on the department.
Exactly. It's a perfect way to look at it.
Right.
Because to figure out how to, quote unquote, fire this employee, we first have to understand how it even sneaks into the office in the first place without raising any alarms.
Yeah, because it doesn't just kick down the front door.
No, not at all. The guide explains that it's a winter annual grassy weed, and it really plagues southern lawns, specifically warm season grasses like Bermuda and Zoysia.
Right, and it's a grassy weed, not a broadleaf weed.
Which is a huge distinction.
Hey, let's unpack this because that distinction feels really important. It's like an imposter wearing the company uniform. Because it's a grassy weed, not a broadleaf weed like a dandelion or whatever, it perfectly camouflages itself against your actual grass until it's just way too late.
What's fascinating here is the biology of that deception. It really relies on our visual assumptions. When your Bermuda grass goes dormant in the winter, it turns brown and goes to sleep.
Right.
But Poa annua wakes up in the cool fall temperatures. It has this very bright lime green color.
Which you'd think would make it obvious, right? Like a bright green spot on a brown lawn.
You would think so.
Yeah.
But early in the season, people just assume, oh, my lawn is just holding on to its color in a few spots. They don't realize it's an invader.
Oh, wow. So they basically just ignore it.
Exactly. And it grows in these really tight, uneven clumping patches. It doesn't spread out evenly like Bermuda does.
Yeah, the guide mentioned it creates this really bumpy, kind of ruined aesthetic once it gets going.
It does. And if you look closely, the leaves have these distinct boat-shaped leaf tips, like the end of a canoe.
Okay, but the true dead giveaway, the thing that really tips you off, isn't the leaves, right?
Right. The true dead giveaway is the tiny white seed heads. They pop up incredibly early in the season, even if you aren't mowing your lawn regularly yet.
Just totally exposing the disguise.
Exactly. Suddenly your lawn is covered in these little white tufts, and you realize you've been duped.
So once this uninvited employee is actually in the door and sitting at a desk, why does it thrive so spectacularly?
Well, the harsh truth from the source material is that we are usually the ones rolling out the red carpet for it.
Ouch. Yeah, the guide is pretty brutal about that. It says Poa annua loves thin or stressed turf, overwatered areas, poor drainage, and compacted soil.
Right, all the classic lawn care mistakes.
And low mowing heights, which people call scalping.
Wait, so when we think we're doing a good job by giving our lawn a sleek, tight cut, especially in Bermuda grass, we're actually just handing Poa annua a massive competitive edge. If we connect this to the bigger picture, you have to realize that this weed is an absolute opportunist. It exploits the exact ecological niches we accidentally create.
Meaning we weaken the good grass so the bad grass can take over.
Precisely. Take compacted, moist soil, for example. Bermuda grass wants deep roots, right? It wants to breathe.
Right.
But when the soil is compacted, those deep roots suffocate. Poa annua, though, has really shallow roots. It loves compacted, wet soil. It's perfectly happy sitting right on the surface.
Wow. And then the scalping.
Yeah, when you scalp the grass, you're removing the canopy that normally shades the soil. You're basically giving the Poa annua seeds direct sunlight and an open space to establish those big clumps.
Oh, man. So we're just like giving it the corner office.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And we haven't even mentioned the biggest red carpet of all, the lack of a fall pre-emergent barrier. but we'll get to that.
Yeah, we definitely need to get to that because it's not just that Poa annua is an ugly clump in your yard. The real nightmare, according to the source, is the destructive legacy it leaves behind when it finally, clocks out for the season.
Yes. The exit strategy of this weed is just brutal.
Here's where it gets really interesting. It's like a terrible tenant who completely trashes the apartment exactly on move-out day.
That is exactly what it does.
Because it's a winter annual, it naturally dies off in the late spring when the heat kicks in. Right when you want your spring lawn to look perfect, it dies and leaves these gaping holes.
Right. It just collapses and dies, leaving a totally bare spot of dirt in your yard.
Which I assume is just an open invitation for summer weeds.
Oh, absolutely. Crabgrass, spurge, they see that bare spot and move right in. The cycle never ends.
But the bare spot isn't even the worst part, is it? It's the seeds.
Yeah, the seed bank. This is where the biology gets terrifying. A single Poa annua plant produces hundreds of seeds before it dies.
Hundreds. From just one clump.
Easily. And those seeds are incredibly aggressive. They drop into the soil, and they remain viable for years.
Wait, years? Like they just sit there?
Yes. They basically go to sleep in the dirt. So even if you kill the plant or it dies naturally, those hundreds of seeds are just waiting for the next time the conditions are right.
So eradication isn't just a one-and-done event.
Not at all. It is a multi-generational battle. You are fighting the children and the grandchildren of the weed you saw 3 years ago.
Wow. That is so frustrating.
It is. Knowing that Poa annua is playing this multi-year game means you have to completely change how you fight it.
Right. Which brings us to the ultimate performance improvement plan. How do we actually break this cycle? Because it sounds like curing the problem once it starts is a nightmare.
It's nearly impossible. The guide stresses that post-emergent control, meaning trying to kill the weed after it's already popped up, is incredibly limited.
Because it requires multiple chemical treatments, right?
Right, and it's very difficult once the weed is mature and producing those seed heads. By that point, the damage is already done.
So what does this all mean? So if you see those white seed heads in the late winter or spring, you've basically already lost the battle for this year, and chasing it is just a waste of energy.
This raises an important question about proactive versus reactive management.
Mm.
The source's bottom line is very clear. Control starts in the fall, not the spring.
So you have to hit it before it even wakes up.
Exactly. The number one defense is an early fall pre-emergent. You put down this barrier in the soil before the weed even germinates.
So the seeds are in the dirt, the cool weather hits, they try to sprout, and the pre-emergent just stops them cold.
Right. It stops cell division in the root, and the microscopic plant dies before it ever sees the sun.
That's amazing. But the guide also talks about long-term solutions, right? Like you can't just rely on the chemicals.
No, you can't. You have to change the environment. Building turf density, fixing your drainage, using the correct mowing height so you aren't scalping.
So basically stopping all those bad habits we talked about earlier.
Exactly. Balanced fertility, consistent seasonal programs year over year. You are essentially building a company culture so strong that the bad employee can't even get an interview.
I love that. You make the good grass so thick and healthy that the weed seed just has no room to grow.
Precisely. If there's no sunlight hitting the soil and the soil isn't compacted and soggy, the Poa annua simply cannot thrive, even if the seeds are there.
It's a complete shift in the timeline of the attack. You do the work in September or October so you can enjoy your yard in March and April.
That's the only way to win a multi-generational battle.
Well, to summarize all this for you listening first, you need to recognize the early signs. Look out for those lime green clumps, the boat-shaped leaf tips, and definitely those tiny white seed heads.
Right, catch the disguise early.
Second, you've got to fix your physical environment. Address your soil compaction, fix your drainage issues, and stop scalping your lawn too low.
Stop rolling out the red carpet.
Exactly. And most importantly, you have to shift your timeline. The attack happens in the fall with a pre-emergent, not in the spring when you already see the weed.
It really is a complete perspective shift.
It is. So I highly encourage you, the next time you take a walk outside, look down at the lawns around your neighborhood, try to spot those lime green clumps hiding in the dormant grass. It's crazy once you start noticing them.
You'll see them everywhere. And, it leaves us with something kind of profound to think about, inspired by the source material.
Oh, definitely. What's your takeaway?
Well, if a single weed can drop hundreds of seeds that just remain perfectly viable in the dark soil for years, literally just waiting for the exact moment of weakness or poor drainage to strike, It makes you wonder,
Yeah.
what other dormant challenges might be hiding just beneath the surface of our own perfectly curated lives and environments, just waiting for a slight drop in our defenses to finally spring up.
Man, that is a wild thought to end on. A little terrifying, but definitely something to chew on. Well, that wraps up today's deep dive. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Pain in the Grass podcast, sponsored by Lawn Pride of North Charlotte, Huntersville, your go-to name in turf care for homeowners and businesses seeking beauty, quality, and reliability, powered by family and fueled by passion. Until next time, make sure to take care of that pain in the grass.